Welcome everybody to the Laying It Down podcast, where we talk about everything in the wrestling world. We bring on wrestling creators as well as professional wrestlers themselves to talk about everything going on in the wrestling world. Today we have none other than the TikTok creator known as ChrissyTina. Welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here tonight.
I appreciate you taking the time to be on here. I apologize if there was like any hiccups with like the timing of this recording, but I'm happy to have you on. It's definitely been a pleasure to get to know you for, I think, probably about a year or so or something like that.
It's coming up on a year. Yeah, it's coming up on a year in August, which is kind of crazy of me being a content creator. But with you and the other amazing creators on TikTok that love, the world of professional wrestling as much as we do, you guys make it really, really easy to feel supported. So I'm incredibly grateful.
And it's crazy because like we hear all the time how wrestling communities in general, the IWC could be very toxic, unfortunately. But it's nice to see that there's people like yourself and the people that we've both surrounded ourselves with that make it just a more enjoyable experience. And I feel like whenever I see you guys going live, you're always DMing me when you guys go on live, you, Richie, everybody. And I'm just like, oh shit, everybody's live. And it's always a good time when I'm in your stream. So I always feel welcome in there. So thank you for that.
That means so much. Thank you so much.
And if you guys want to check out Chrissy's TikToks and socials and everything, they will be in the description down below. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, doesn't matter. It'll be down there for you guys to check out. There you'll be able to find stuff like her TikTok, Instagram, and much more. And you can be a part of her familia as well. I definitely recommend you go check her out. She's really cool peoples. Also, guys, check out JLD merchandise. We are actually checking out some new merchandise over at justlayingdown.com. We have the new OTC original Twitch Chief t-shirt that is available to celebrate JLD almost coming back onto Twitch. So to celebrate that, we made a spin-off on the Roman Reigns t-shirt. So we are using that to get you guys back in. So JLD will be back soon onto Twitch. So make sure you guys head over to justlayingdown.com to get that merchandise. Different types of t-shirts, different colors, as well as stickers too. Also want to thank a sponsor for tonight's episode of the Laying It Down podcast, 210 Threads. 210 Threads is a t-shirt company based out of the San Antonio, Texas area, whose website contains a ton of different t-shirts designed, including all of your favorite pop culture celebrities, music, sports, and even your favorite WWE superstars. Available for the whole family. You can check them out over at 210threads.com. You can follow their social media accounts down below in the description. Once again, shout out to them for sponsoring today's episode. And during today's episode with Chrissy, we're going to be talking about her thoughts on a lot of things in the wrestling world and current WWE storylines. Maybe talk about some AEW, and then we'll get into some details of her as a content creator and what she does for her community. So for everybody watching or listening, sit back, relax, and enjoy this podcast. So Chrissy, how are you doing?
I'm great. That was a great, I don't think you took a breath in that last 5-minute, stand. That was impressive. Honestly, that's where I'm trying to get at. So I'm so ready to go. It's insane. So throw me with your first accent question.
I don't even rehearse it, honestly. I kind of just try to ad hoc it as much as I can, but with some kind of structure in it.
Burned into your brain so much that it just kind of comes out naturally.
Plus, we're on episode 8, so we're close to 10 episodes, which is, 10 episodes ain't a lot, but still a big accomplishment for us. So that's really freaking awesome. So first question is usually the same for everybody. I like to give you the floor for a little bit. So for you, Chrissy, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the podcast, let people know who you are, where people can find you, and just give us a little bit of background of you and the kind of content you create on social media, and then we'll go from there. So this floor is yours now.
Hi, babies. My name is ChrissyTina. ChrissyTina across all social media platforms. Please make sure that you're checking out the link in all of my bios, which is runtheropes.shop, which is one of my best friend Brian's clothing brands, clothing lines. I have merch. People in my familia have merch. And yeah, we just love supporting independent content creators such as yourselves. So if you have any ideas that you want pushed, any merch you want seen that you're not seeing on the market right now, just like JLD has his amazing shop, so do we. Make sure that you support both. If you're going to be broke, might as well be broke and look good at the same time. Make sure that you check me out on Saturdays on TikTok, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where me and my painfully attractive co-host, Pat the Wise Man, have NXT Rewinds, where we go through NXT takeovers, and we just watch and reminisce, because, sometimes life is a little bit rough and it sucks, but it's always a little bit better when you're able to watch it with your friends and your family. And speaking of family, I am part of an amazing faction called the Familia. We started off as 8 people, and we have grown since then. And these are some of the best minds when it comes to professional wrestling and takes and just the IWC in general. And I would not be able to do what I do without them. So please make sure that you are checking out the Familia on all your social media pages, Facebook, TikTok, X, Instagram. And yeah, I basically am the nice person on Wrestle Talk is what I've been labeled as so lovingly by the people who watch my content. I try and be as positive as possible because, you know, life sucks already and we really don't need any more negativity. And, you know, sometimes it's a little bit hard to trust your friends, but you can always trust your family. And that's what I try to be for my followers and my friends. It's just a positive space to talk about the sport that we love the most, which is professional wrestling.
And at the end of the day, like a lot of us came from upbringings where wrestling was our go-to, whether you found it as a kid or you found it as an adult. Like it's allowed everybody from all different walks of life to just know each other, meet each other, and it's people that we wouldn't think we'd know in the future of just like, oh snap, I have a lot in common, I'm friends with this person, now we've become like best friends forever. You would never think that wrestling could really unite people so much.
I absolutely agree. Legitimately, it surprisingly enough, I'm not very social in non-social media spaces. And I've literally been able to cherry pick some of the best people I've ever met in my life, people who I would do anything for, off of TikTok, the app where like all the dances were coming from, which is kind of crazy to me. But I couldn't see my life without them. I couldn't imagine not having been able to have met you and picking your brain and learning more from you, and over time being able to become more than acquaintances. We're friends now, and I'm very proud of that. And
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful to have you in this space as well, because the internet needs people like you in these spaces, not only for representation, but just for the sake of having positive mindsets when it comes to this. It doesn't always have to be a war. It doesn't always have to be negative. It could just be fun. Who knew? So knowing that someone like you exists out there in the IWC makes me hopeful for the future.
And the same goes for you. There's people that just take the wrestling world in general just so freaking serious. And it's like, I don't have the time for that. I have a job. I got bills to pay. I got Mrs. JLD to take care of. You know, like I don't have time in my schedule to write down, be mad at AEW, be mad because WWE did this story. It doesn't matter. And
it would be so nice to have that kind of time, but I could never.
Exactly. Like we're all grown as adults. Like I expect that from kids, but the fact that adults do it is just insane. But for everybody watching, ChrissyTina, make sure y'all follow her. She's not just talking the talk, she's about it when it comes to her content, and her live streams, especially her live streams, makes everybody feel welcome. And we need more of that in this world, like she explained. So one thing that we got to do this past weekend was finally meet Joe Hendry. But on top of that, we finally got to meet each other, and that was freaking awesome. So it was nice to finally see you in person. I was in the cab, and like the cab turned, and I was like, oh shit, that's Chrissy. Let me go say hi to her when I get out. And then we just chatted for a little bit. But you were in the priority line for Joe Hendry. I was jealous because you got to probably get out like almost immediately. So
listen, first of all, you real sweet, hon. You are. But I need you to remember where you live, because this man came out from behind and tapped a Bronx girl on the shoulder and thought that he just wasn't gonna immediately get decked in the face. That's brave. Honestly, that's brave.
I should have looked at your arms.
Jumped out of my skin.
I should have looked at your arms to see if you were about to go like
to the
elbow.
And also, let me tell y'all, the TikTok videos don't do him justice. He's incredibly such a look at this handsome face. Look at this handsome man. Obviously, wifey JLD is also hot, and I love when two hot people find love and then just live happily ever after. I love that for y'all.
Oh,
so it was
carriage.
So nice to like see you guys, like see you in person and just hear the voice and feel the vibes and everything. Check. You pass the vibe check immediately. Your girl does not do well in New York City heat. That's why she got the priority line. Did it end up being hot that day? No, but I wasn't going to test that out.
When I went back to that regular line, it like looped around. I don't know if you saw that video of Joe Hendry in the car, like how he was like filming everybody. When it turns the corner, it's like all grass, like the fence around it. It just flies just in a whole freaking group above the grass. And you're just like, bro, when is this line moving? Because I don't want these flies to just all of a sudden start spreading out and attacking everybody. And everybody just runs for their life.
I know one of the reasons. There were a few gentlemen in there telling poor Joe Hendry their life stories about how they've been fans of him for like decades. And I'm like, sir, he hasn't been very prevalent on WWE television until fairly recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't lie to this man. Unless you know him from like WCPW,
Or like
he
the
gotta
indies,
go.
yeah.
It's hot. Like he needs to leave.
Yeah, I made it simple. I was like, you're gonna be NXT champion soon. He agreed, and then we took our picture. But how was that experience for you? Because I saw like you had the whole flag for him, and like you and your fiance like were pretty quick in there because you had the priority line, I guess.
Listen, your girl is a military kid, so I plan 4 months in advance for everything.
I'm the same way. I plan out pretty quickly.
Yeah. So my fiance is not very familiar with Joe Hendry, but he is incredibly supportive. And he was like, well, if you want to go, I'll be there too. I'm like, okay, so like let's make sure you get a signature. He's like, oh, I really don't need a signature. I don't know him that well. I'm like, well, we're gonna take care of some other people then. So he goes in front of me and he's like, okay, so I need these names signed. And Joe Hendry's like, none of them are yours. And they're like, oh no, this is for my fiance's friends. They love you and she loves you. And he thought that was great. And I'm like, yes, cool. Sell me, make me look good, make me look considerate. This is perfect. So I go up to him and once again, trying to brand myself out as much as I can, I wear the beautiful pink Familia shirt that's exclusive to me because the pink is my color for Familia. And I'm telling Joe Hendry, like, yeah, like it's crazy that you were in Georgia last night and you're in New York City today. He's like, oh, you know about Georgia? And I'm like, yeah, one of my friends actually took a picture with you in Georgia. He's from there. And he was impressed. He's like, wow, there's a lot of you everywhere, huh? And I'm like, yup. And then just when I try and tell him a little bit more, the promoters rushing me along.
Let's go. I think it was.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I opened the flag. I have him sign the flag. I'm like, can we have us take the picture with the flag together? He's like, yeah, sure. I open it up and he goes, oh, the flag matches your shirt. That's interesting. What is it? And right before I go to say it, the promoter looks like he's going to tell us to move along. And I'm like, if you don't give me this moment, promoter,
right,
leave me alone. So I managed to at least have him see the website on the bottom of the flag. And he's like, yeah, that's really cool for you and your friends. And that's all I had to hear. And then I got out of there because, it was crazy in there. They were having poor Joe Hendry and also
Gypsy Mac.
Also, the Bruja Batty do the signing in a pizzeria, which you can't get more New York than doing a wrestling signing at a pizzeria that was still open, mind you.
Yeah, they were still selling pizza. They had Joe Hendry make pizza.
Joe Hendry make a pie. I'm like, I hope they gave him the whole pie to take with him.
That's the least they could do.
That's the least they could do. But I really do hope that our beloved city was sweet to Joe Hendry because that gentleman deserves the world. Apparently, he stayed the entire time to make sure that people got their signatures, including going overtime. He did the same thing when he went to Georgia with my friend Pro Wrestling Wizard Just Doug. And Joe Hendry's been amazing.
Okay.
He's an amazing person, an amazing athlete. I want the world for him, honestly.
Shout out to Pro Wrestling Wizard. He's a W.
He's definitely a W. I love him.
But that's awesome because I know for a fact that Joe Hendry had a flight, I think on Sunday, and he had to make it because I think that was to go to Orlando for Tuesday, most likely. It's nice to see that he made it because, now he's challenging Ethan Page, but goes to show that he goes above
Wesley,
me.
But, you gotta...
God damn it, Wesley. But I think he's going to do good as a heel. Like, after betraying the Rascals. If they don't, they screw it over, then I don't know what Shawn Michaels is thinking or what he's trying to cook up, honestly.
I mean, Shawn Michaels, honestly, and do not get me wrong, I love Black and Gold NXT. It's probably my favorite run of NXT up until this point. But you can see that Shawn has a closer relationship with this class than Hunter did with his. I honestly think that the closest I've seen is maybe Dusty with his kids. Because a lot of people assume or think that Dusty and Hunter's class are the same. They're not. It's like Neville, Bo Dallas, Seth Rollins. That was Dusty's kids. Gargano, Tommaso, Finn, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke. Those are more Hunter's kids.
Right.
And then this current group is Shawn's.
Yeah, Trick Williams,
Exactly. Trick Williams, Mello, Obafemi, who's amazing. But Oba's you really mean to tell me that like these very niche social media references that Shawn Michael Hickenbottom is like getting these references on his own. Someone's in his office showing them Twitter and showing Shawn TikTok. I just need to know who it is. And I really in my heart of hearts, I feel like it's Trick Williams who's in Sean's office.
I wouldn't be surprised. Trick knows what he's doing, and especially in social media.
They had the audacity to have Sexy Red come to NXT. And don't get me wrong, I loved that episode, but to come out to Get It Sexy, which is all of the edit videos that Shawn Michaels has had attached to him, and then to have Shawn twerk with Sexy Red in the Escalade after the show, someone's in that office telling him that our edits are out there.
I mean,
so now I'm concerned about having my page not be private.
I mean, maybe it's Trick Willy Wonka. You never know.
Listen, that
Trick Willy Wonka was so funny.
him and Lash Legend are another couple where I'm like, we get it. You're hot. You found each other. Congratulations.
They shot their shot, and we know that they're a thing.
Succeeded. Like, this class of NXT kids are like painfully attractive and are also all dating each other. Like, Jordan, no, I don't think, no, it's not Jordan Grace. It's Carmelo Hayes, and who is the female North American champion?
Kalani Jordan, I think.
Kalani Jordan, thank you. They're dating, and they're adorable, and they're great. And also, I'm like, they just find each other down there. I think also Jimmy and Naomi met at the Performance Center.
Yeah, and they had a whole reality show from them, which was hilarious,
I need just a reality show at the Performance Center. That's all I need. Just there.
Love with NXT. We'll make it official. We'll talk to Shawn ourselves.
I'm about to also, if I ever met Shawn Michaels in person, I'm fainting. Like, just fair warning. So maybe not him. Maybe I could talk to like a Prince Albert or like a William Regal, and we could see what we can do from there. I could talk to The Rock's daughter.
I forgot.
And like be fine.
I forgot Albert is still there.
He's another one that I have a lot of love for Albert, because he could have let the industry make him jaded with all of the somewhat outlandish gimmicks he's had over the years.
Yeah, Tensai, A-Train, like he did everything.
He was wearing like lace dresses at some point. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I forgot about that.
You're into it. But Albert has really stayed behind, and he's taken care of those kids, and he's made sure. I'll never forget one of the first times I remember seeing that Albert was working as a suit is when he was telling the first ever Women's Royal Rumble entrants from NXT that they were going to be in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. And I think it was Io Shirai, back when she was Io Shirai. It was Kairi Sane, it was Candice LeRae, and it was this really beautiful moment of him talking to these women that he's nurtured in this sport and given them probably the biggest news they've had in their careers up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I love those videos. I'm a huge emotional sap when it comes to wrestling. If you get me with a good storyline, I'm with you forever.
Have you seen the Damian Priest documentary yet?
I'm emotionally preparing. I'm going to watch it this weekend when I have like my comfort blanket fort set up, my teddy bear, my snack, because I know I'm going to cry. Because Damian is from the same sections of Puerto Rico that my family's from, that my grandparents are from. And he is a Bronx boy. I'm a Bronx girl. There's a lot of people. I don't think people realize the connection that people from similar boroughs have, especially with places like the Bronx or Harlem or, Queens, things like that. Because it's almost like a trauma response. It's like, we both made it out. we both did it. So knowing that he's at this level of success, I'm
proud of him.
going through the same struggles and strife that I went through, that my parents went through, that my grandparents went through, and now seeing him at the top of the mountain. It doesn't get bigger than being the champion in WWE, than being the guy, the title holder. And knowing that he was able to do that with a very similar background that I had is very inspirational. So I'm definitely ready for that. I just got brave enough to watch the Bray Wyatt documentary.
I haven't watched it yet, and I'm gonna be sad if I do.
I watched it. It was sad, but in reality, wholeheartedly, it was beautiful. The pain was necessary to get to the ending point, which is the hope that Bo has for what we now know as the Wyatt Six. Learning more about Bray, who he was as a person, inside and outside of the character, inside and outside of the ring, really, really gave me even further of an appreciation for Wyndham Rotunda, which I didn't think I could have because I already thought the moon of Wyndham. But seeing the influence he's had on his brother and his sister, seeing the influence he had on that locker room.
He was loved.
Yeah, just goes to show that no matter how insignificant you may feel like you are, you will never realize the reach you have with the people around you. So for those days that, you might not feel the best, please, everyone, remember that the people around you will miss you, will love you, adore you. So the people who loved Bray didn't get to say goodbye. So it's always a good thing to remember that no matter how bad you may feel about yourself, that the people who are around you do not feel the same way.
And like, I feel like, and we'll get to content creation portion in a little bit. I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that same way about themselves, whether it's a massive scale like Bray Wyatt or even a micro scale like a content creator that's just trying to make it. Honestly, it feels like there's a lot of obstacles in the way. It's just up to the person to determine how strong they are to get through them. I'm like a 10-minute walk away from my gym. I walk to the gym when I go. You have to go down a hill to get to it. It's like one of those where on one side you drive down the hill and like you drive up when you're leaving. By the time I'm done with the gym, I don't want to go up that hill. By the time I'm done complaining about it, I'm already up there. And that's what people should understand. By the time you're done feeling sorry for yourself or complaining, oh, I'm not here in my life yet, I'm not there yet, to understand by the time you're done with that, you've already done the work to get it to the top.
I love that analogy. I do.
With Bray Wyatt, the last time I saw him, or the only time I saw him, was the holiday show, the one in MSG they do. Was
I love a good dark show. I love a good house show. I do.
It was the first appearance since he had, I guess it was the COVID or heart condition that he had. Mm-hmm. He faced Jinder Mahal, and it was just like a regular match. That's the only time I saw him. And then a few weeks later was the LA Knight match, and that was it.
I mean, the fact that you were able to see him is such a treat, you know, even if it was a simplistic match like him and Jinder Mahal. Bray always had this capability of being able to capture an audience with basic things. Mm-hmm. I went to a friend's house and I watched the WrestleMania that he did the Scarecrow entrance for. I believe it's when they did the live version of his original theme. And just watching my father calls people who aren't involved in particular areas civilians. He's a Marine, so it's always civilians.
Oh, okay.
So I was watching people who were civilians first times to wrestling, watching that WrestleMania entrance, and they were just blank-faced, blacked out, enthralled. And that's the kind of effect that he had, and it's probably going to be very, very rare, and maybe even a very long time before we have a mind like Bray Wyatt ever again. And he will be sorely missed, but Absolutely. His imprint and his impact on the industry is completely like unforgettable and undeniable, and it wouldn't be the same without him.
Absolutely. He's definitely missed, and I'm glad with what they're doing. I think they're doing the Wyatt 6 storyline in a good enough speed. They're not making it fast. They're not just having them attack everybody yet. And they're taking their time, especially with the VHS tapes. Like of the origin.
I've had to fight people online for this, JLD. Like, you have no idea. I have had people say that it makes no sense, that, you know, why is it taking so long? And me and my group have to remind people, like, we've said that we wanted long-term storytelling, long-term booking. Mm-hmm. We've been going through the quarterly storylines every 3 months since the Vince regime started to, like, even to, like, kind of now. The 3-second Kevin Dunn camera cuts. Like, we've dealt with this for a long time now. Yeah. So now that we're finally getting what we've asked for, which is long-term storytelling, now we're complaining that it's taking too long. The whole Bryan Danielson thing of the fans being fickle is kind of ringing more and more true as time goes on, unfortunately. Because something like the Wyatt 6 isn't just a spooky yuki, you know, like they're monsters and it goes away. These are people that have met each other via their pain and their loss of somebody, and now they're seeking vengeance. There is an entire Shakespearean storyline that can be told with that, but it requires time. It does. And in order to be able to get these characters to flesh out and to come out as they should and in a way that's going to actually sell, we have to be patient. And sometimes wrestling fans just need to learn to be patient.
They're the same people that are okay with the long-term storytelling of Cody and Roman. Cody lost at Mania 39, and all of a sudden, like, now he's in storylines with Lesnar. Then he's in storylines with Seth Rollins, and, well, Dominic Mysterio.
He was fighting Dominic for, like, a hot second, too.
Yeah, and, like, they kind of forgot about it, because Roman wasn't even in action, like, too long, so they kind of forgot about it, and Cody's just doing his thing. Became tag team champions with Jey Uso, dealing with the Judgment Day, even though the reign was, like, 9 days, but still, like, it's stuff like that you're gonna pick, that you're gonna say this is okay, but not this. You can't just pick and choose what you want.
Absolutely.
So we met Joe Hendry. Absolutely amazing experience. Mrs. Geraldine was supposed to show up, but she just didn't feel like it, so I just went on my own. So tell us if any others, because I saw you met one other superstar before, but tell me if there's any others that may have missed. Tell us about any of the other superstars you've met in real life. I know you've met Lita. Yes. Was that the only other person, or are there any others, any favorites you have in particular?
So as of right now, now, it's only Lita and Joe Hendry that I can remember. My
Okay.
father insists that back when the WWE experience was, that restaurant was open
Oh,
in
wow.
Times Square.
Yeah, yeah.
He insists that I met Michael Cole back when he had the frosted tips specifically.
Oh my Lord.
And I was like, Dad, I was still ordering off the kids menu when he had frosted tips. He's like, well, it was the short white boy that talks on the mic all the time. And I'm like, I guess it would have been Michael Cole. So I may or may not have had that. Lita was my first official signing.
Nice.
I grew up in a household where we had like whatever we were able to afford to watch on television. That's what we had. So I grew up mainly watching SmackDown because it was on
It was on
UPN,
basic
it was
cable,
on
UPN,
TV.
yeah. And Raw was on
And
USA.
Lita was heavily featured on UPN at that time on SmackDown. I already told everyone that she's my holy grail. Her and Shawn Michaels are my mandatories. If I have the chance to meet them, it doesn't matter the cost, I have to do it. And I saw online that she was coming to Jersey, and my light flashed before my eyes, and I'm like, I have to take this opportunity because I'm not sure when she's coming back. I'm not sure, like, it's Jersey. Who wants to come back on purpose? Like, I'm not sure she's going to want to come back. So we saved up, we went, and she is everything you want her to be. She's charming, she's funny, she's incredibly patient. Because nice. I know that I went in there incredibly anxious, and then I shrunk like a violet when I got next to her because she just has such this energy about her. And 13-year-old me got to tell her that she's the reason why I'm doing any of this. And I got to thank her, and that meant the world. So definitely, if you have the chance to go see Lita, anybody go do it. It's exactly what you think it's going to be. She's amazing. Joe Hendry, unfortunately, was a little bit quicker of a sign.
Yeah,
but
too many
once
people.
Again, an amazing gentleman. Very, very patient. Very, very sweet. As we said earlier in the pod, I want nothing but the best for Joe Hendry. He's been in this industry for a long, long time. He was someone's lawyer on an episode of SmackDown, I believe. I forget who it was.
Yes. I saw the picture, but I forgot who it was, honestly.
Was it Rusev in the divorce?
Oh, wait. Yes. It was Rusev.
I think it was Rusev. I think he was Rusev's lawyer. He's just so incredibly talented. He's so incredibly talented. It's so hard to find a character that can work both in being serious and doing the comedy bits and having them both be successful. And Joe Hendry ties that in seamlessly. And this is with him not getting a lot of mainstream recognition yet. So I can only imagine what they're going to do with him with more production value, more money thrown at him. I'm really excited to see what he does in the next 4 to 5 years.
I sent the picture of me and Joe Hendry to my dad. He was like, who's that? He's the one that got me into wrestling. He doesn't watch NXT like that. So I give him that. I was in my head, I'm like, wait till he shows up at the Rumble. When he shows up at the Rumble, that's going to be the main thing that shows him off to everywhere. Because obviously wrestling fans know who he is, or at least saw from social media who he is. But for the people that just generally just wait till Monday to watch it, then wait till Friday, not paying attention to what's on the internet, they're going to find out who Joe Hendry is, and they're going to be too late for the bandwagon.
And we'll have already had the signatures.
We'll be like, oh yeah, I met him before. Wait, how'd you know him? Like he just got
Hendry,
the WWE yesterday.
He's the cousin. What are you talking about? Of course.
For those Joe Hendry fans, you got lucky. I think we all got lucky too, because I think the next time there is a meet and greet, it's probably with WWE. And they're going to charge an arm and a leg for that. It's not going to be no $50 like it was for the general for the combo too. It was $30 just for a picture. It's the $50
$30 for a picture. It was $20 for an autograph. It was $50 for both, and then it was $118 for the priority line and 2 other signatures. And he's just, I can always tell if I'm gonna like a superstar or not with how they interact with kids.
True, yeah, because kids are pretty innocent, and if you're gonna be like, all right, whatever, take a picture by, then it's not somebody you want to interact with.
Very Kevin Nash. I'm not a big Kevin Nash person in real life because I've had legitimate stories told to me of him not being the nicest.
Okay.
But with how Joe Hendry dealt with those kids at the front of that line, it was like they saw a comic book character come to life, and he did the bit. He took videos. He kneeled down next to them to make sure that he was at eye level. He went the extra mile when he didn't have to, and that goes to show what kind of a person he is.
And those are the people, and I feel like we've seen reports of WWE, the roster feels like they're the happiest they can be. That could also attest to that for the other superstars, the people that actually on the WWE main roster. They feel like they can talk to all the fans more, and they enjoy their job. It's stressful, of course, but I guess that locker room dynamic makes things a little happier for them.
It's amazing what happens when you don't have to fear for like your safety on a consistent basis, isn't it? My God.
Seriously.
It's amazing what like non-harassment suits will do for a company.
Crazy how that all works. Things happen for a reason. Triple H is doing great with what he's doing. Obviously, we'll never know what happens behind the scenes, but from face value, seems like people are enjoying the product. Superstars are enjoying their jobs. That's how you keep job security and just keep and retention for your employees. So that goes with any job. But
and I love that you said that, because people forget that this is a job for these men and women. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great to have the story of like, I watched WWE when I was a child and now I'm the thing I always wanted to be and I'm a superstar. But at the end of the day, these people have mortgages to pay. They have kids to feed. They have themselves to take care of. So is it great to have nostalgia for the thing that you grew up with? Absolutely. But if the bag isn't there,
money talks.
If the work environment isn't safe, it pays to shop around. And I think WWE realizes now more than ever that they will shop around. For example, Matt Cardona is probably having the most success he's ever had on the indies.
Yep. Indie God of the Year.
That he never made as much money as he did until he went to the indies. They probably had to bump his pay up for WWE to get him to sign it back again.
Especially
they
after
now
AEW.
realize that there's other places for them to go, so you got to sweeten the pot to get them to stay.
And that's the beauty of competition, especially with AEW. You could talk shit all you want about AEW, but they opened up a market for competition. Forgot who I spoke to on another episode. I was like, before AEW, it was just WWE and the indies. That's it. Or TNA, if depending on like the era it was. But now that AEW is in the market and Tony Khan has money to blow on anything, that's going to want to have WWE not just have a better product, but also want to incentivize these workers, because they are workers, like you said, to want to join them. Look how quick they grabbed Stephanie from CMLL and New Japan.
They know.
They snatched her up quick. They had a show in Mexico.
Khan just sent a couple of bands on Final Countdown to not even be Daniel Bryan's official theme song, to play it once.
Yep, seriously.
Like, they're
the
willing
licensing
to do what
is
they
crazy.
have to do. They have Tony Storm coming out every week with black and white lighting and then split screening it when it goes to somebody else. Tony Storm and Mariah May, for me personally, are the reason why AEW is still a viable.
That's the best feud in the women's division over there right now.
For me, in the entire company, it's not the men, it's not the women, it's the entire company. Tony Storm and Mariah May have shown that women can be at the head of the main focal point of the show and be successful consistently. They've been running that storyline for almost close to a year now.
And it's still going.
And it has not faltered. It has not lost any kind of steam. It has been consistent and it has grown and it has evolved and it's at its apex, and I cannot wait for All In. I'm going to spontaneously combust. Like, it is insane, and it makes me excited that now the women in the industry, an industry that didn't love women for a long time, can now see themselves in these levels of success, like Charlotte, like Becky, like Tony, like Mariah, like these women coming over from Stardom and the Joshi wrestlers. They know now that they have real viable say in their careers because they know that they have the capability of being the main event, and it always should have been like that. But like, sometimes it takes a little while for the human mind to evolve. But I feel like Hunter's doing a really good job with the women in WWE. Could it be better? Absolutely. We're working from like 30 years behind catching up with current day, so it's going to take a little work, but I'm hopeful with Hunter. I really, really am. Shawn Michaels is doing amazing work with the women in NXT. The AEW women's division as a whole definitely needs some tightening up. But if Tony Storm and Mariah May are anything to show for it, if they put that much work into the division like they're putting into that storyline, I'm completely hopeful for what's to come.
And you just saw recently they doing All In next year in Texas, in Arlington. But I agree with that. Whenever I think of AEW right now, it's either what the hell is going to happen with Mercedes Moné in her storyline or Tony Storm. The whole black and white thing just alone has me dead all the time, because they literally will put her with the black and white, the slow motion, like a freaking Marilyn Monroe style. Then I see like MJF with the American title. Like, I'm happy he's back, but I'm kind of like, what's going on here? And like Swerve Strickland, like I'm happy he's the world champion, but it seems like there's just matches and that's it. Like what's going, like is there any long-term storytelling with the world title? But
if we're gonna be real honest, the real story for Swerve is gonna be him and Hangman Adam Page. It's gonna end up being one of those fight forever situations.
that match was so good with them before.
Insanity. Like Swerve and Danielson, in terms of logistics, in terms of technicality, the match is gonna be incredible. The match is absolutely gonna be incredible. We were actually talking about this last night on the live, which match is going to main event All In, either Tony and Mariah or Swerve and Danielson. And one of my familiar members, Abby, stated that she believes it's going to be Swerve and Danielson because of the weight of the possibility of Danielson retiring.
Yeah.
But I had to bring up that they didn't put that as a stipulation until like last week.
So now it's
Tony
an
and
official
Mariah have been
stipulation.
doing this for close to a year now. Literally, Swerve had no storyline until the Owen Hart Cup.
Yeah.
And then Danielson got attached, and then it still wasn't super hot, and then they had to put that it was Danielson's retirement match if he lost. And now that's what has the eyes on that match. But the eyes on Tony and Mariah's match has been there for months. So if we're going to go based off of what's been earned, I personally feel like it's Tony and Mariah. The MJF point that you brought up is also a really good point, because I and my partner, Pro Wrestling Wizard Just Doug, mentioned that it would have made more sense to just wait to have MJF come back for Adam Cole.
Yeah.
He left with all that heat with the breakup of like the Best Friends tag team to come back, beat up the Undisputed Kingdom and go after Adam Cole, and then just stop, never go after Undisputed Kingdom again, even though they're there. And now he's going after Will Ospreay, and he's the evil American from like every Rocky movie ever. Like it makes no sense to me. And don't get me wrong, MJF could sell a bottle of water to like someone who's like drowning in the ocean. Like he's amazing, but he could be used in better ways. And this just really isn't it for me right now.
They could have even kept the whole "I'm better than you" and you know it, and just turned babyface just to take that time and say, Adam Cole, we coming for you. But obviously he's injured and stuff, so it's like, do some filler. Cody Rhodes got the tag titles for 9 days. He could do something there.
He could still be beating up Roderick Strong to this day, and I take it.
AEW is known for some wild shit, but like they could have done a 2-on-1 handicap match. They could have had them wear the freaking
on fire.
They could have done exactly, freaking blood and guts. That shit was insane. I thought it was actually gonna happen on TV.
I was so concerned because it's Darby Allin. If it was anyone else, I would have been like, oh, they're not going to do it. But it was Darby, and I'm like, he might.
He don't care. This man got hit by a New York bus. This man went through real glass. This man is a walking liability.
Legitimately.
So we're going to transition a little bit from AEW. I want to know your thoughts on the current WWE product, and if there's anything that sticks out to you at the moment. I know we spoke a little earlier about like the Wyatt Six and like, you know, like Cody Rhodes and stuff like that. So what do you think of the current product now? Do you think it could be improved in a little bit of a way? Do you think it's good? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, the product is good right now. I'm not even going to lie about that. But if we're honest, the product is never going to be finished. There's always room to grow. There's always room to do more, to learn more, to apply more. It's an ever-changing thing. It's like an organism. Like it's always going to keep evolving. At the current state of evolution that WWE is in right now, I think they're in a really good sweet spot. I just don't want them to become complacent. They're finally doing things, for example, the Dominic, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, now Damian Priest is involved storyline. That's another example for me personally of long-term booking. They put Finn Balor into the mix, and he's been plotting this revenge for almost a year now. Liv and Rhea have previous history together, so that ties in. Dominic mentioning the fact that, you know, like Rhea really didn't respect him when they first started dating, when in reality it's Stockholm Syndrome, if we're going to call a spade a spade. But Rhea Stockholm Dominic into being her man, and now he's finally fighting back against that. Like everything is, you know, like the puzzle pieces are falling into place. The chickens are finally coming home to roost. All those other sayings that are applicable.
It's the chicken tendies.
Get the chicken. That's another reason why, like, everyone's mad at Dom for Rhea or for Liv. I'm mad that this man eats chicken tendies with no sauce.
Yeah, right? Where's the sauce at? Like, he had a whole silver plate full of freaking nuggets, but don't got no sauce, no ketchup, no barbecue. Killer
behavior to me.
Seriously.
Absolutely not.
Unless they're seasoned
I would have broke up with
beautifully,
him right
but
there.
it's like, where's your bev at? Like, where was his bev at?
Where's the bag? It's the J-Lo thing where she's like, I get a ham and cheese sandwich and a chip if you know, you know, and an orange drink if you know, you know.
Jenny
God,
from the
I hate
block.
that woman. But yeah, man, like that storyline, it's coming so well into its newer chapters. Bronson Reed coming almost out of nowhere. And I've been a big Bronson Reed fan since NXT. But for him to finally get the limelight put on him for the beast that I know that he's capable of being
Rollins,
is amazing. The only thing I'm disappointed in, honestly, is the state of the tag team division. But I feel like with WWE, that's always like a constant. DIY holding the tag team titles for 29 days is absolutely abhorrent. DIY is another group of people that deserves the absolute world. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are the reasons why I'm even back into wrestling. There was a small point in my life where I stopped watching, and for some reason I got into NXT specifically to kind of get back into the product, and I got back into it around the time of the Cruiserweight Classic, and the very first match I saw was Tommaso versus Johnny in the Cruiserweight Classic, and that's a telenovela in itself, that match. And then I learned about their histories beforehand and who they were, and I just became so attached to these men. And now seeing where they are and seeing how successful they've become, that they're finally on the main show and getting their flowers, so happy and proud for them. But they deserve more than just 29 days with these titles. I love Miz and R-Truth, but they're not a tag team. We have legitimate tag teams in these divisions, people that we can bring up that are legitimate tag teams. It's not good. I need the tag team division to be tightened up soon. And the other thing that I'm kind of disappointed in is the handling of the newer bloodline.
Timu bloodline.
The fact that they look like they are consistently at a B2K Millennium concert, not a fan. I don't like the fact that they have Tama Tonga dressing up as like a Party City Red Hood every week. I don't like these. I don't like the fact that as our mutual Ray says, Solo comes out looking like a very hot Marcus Houston with like his red like velvet t-shirts and like his OJ Simpson gloves. I don't like it.
Nah, that's the weekend. That's the weekend.
It is the weekend. It's ridiculous. And then you have Tongaloa, who is another incredibly talented wrestler on the indie circuit with his brother, and they make him look like a fool on a weekly basis. And at a certain point, you don't want to think it's also just Tongaloa. I want to believe it's not Tongaloa, but I forget where the low blow happened. I think it was at the last
Money in the
pay-per-view.
Bank. Money in the Bank. I was there.
He low blowed through somebody and hit his own brother in the head. Like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
He hit Kevin Owens in the butt, and then when he did the low blow correctly, he actually hit Tama Tonga in the head.
Yeah, I need people to like tighten it up, and I need them to get it together. Because if we're gonna be completely honest, Jacob is gonna be way bigger than what he is now.
Yep.
If you look at how they shoot the bloodline for SmackDown, it's always Tama and Tonga,
Jacob in the
on
back,
one side, and then it's either just Solo or it's Solo and then Jacob in the shot. They're trying to have you associate Jacob with Solo subliminally by always keeping Jacob in the shot with Solo. Jacob is the best person in the bloodline right now, and he's not the main. That's my problem. I'm not saying that Jacob should be the main right now. He's currently in a not super talkative role, and that's fine. Sometimes you just need a tank. Sometimes you just need a heater. But then the others need to step their game up to be on Jacob's level. Something has to switch. Because for me to have cried for these bloodline storylines where Sami Zayn lost to Roman in Canada, where Jimmy and Jay and Sammy had to deal with their implosion, where I got so emotionally invested in the original like pre-Endgame run of the bloodline, and now it feels like we're like in Spider-Man Homecoming territory with the new bloodline.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm feeling about it yet. And I shouldn't be still this uncertain this far into the new bloodline storyline. So someone in writing, Solo has to talk to somebody about how they write him. Something needs to get tightened up and fast. Because right now, the Judgment Day, in comparison to their faction, has the best faction storyline going on in WWE.
With Solo Sikoa, they're already teasing Roman versus Solo after he returned back at SummerSlam. If you're going to have Solo face Roman, I don't know if it's going to be Bad Blood or Survivor Series, or I don't know if they even want to go far to the Rumble. They need to build up Solo as a badass. And what you said with Jacob already comes from MLW, GCW, where he is a powerhouse. That man knows how to talk. That man knows how to wrestle. We see it in the ring on SmackDown when he decimated DIY. Sorry to say. It was pretty apparent that Jacob Fatu in any capacity will outperform Solo on any of those things. If they're going to have some sort of like Roman versus Jacob in the future, you know that match is going to slap. But
Absolutely.
If you're going to have Solo as the main tribal chief, they need to do something to make him look even better than Jacob. It's going to be difficult, but something has to give there. Otherwise, it's almost going to seem like a jobber match between Roman versus Solo if they're going to really have battle for the tribal chief thing or whatever, because it's going to happen. Like, Solo still has delay and all that. Roman's eventually going to try and grab it. We'll have to see, but that's where I stand on that. They need to get Solo a little more powerful than what he is now. So I'm going to take this halfway point to thank once again 210 Threads as our sponsor of today's video. Once again, like I said before, if you want to check out some amazing t-shirts run by our good friend from the Twitch community, Broke Dad Gaming, 210 Threads is a t-shirt company based out of the San Antonio area and has a ton of different t-shirt designs from pop culture to celebrities, music, sports, even WWE shirts he has. They have a pretty good WWE collection available for everybody, basically. You can check them out over at 210threads.com. You can check out their links down below, and shout out to them once again for sponsoring this episode. With that, that's basically the product. I think we hit everything in terms of the wrestling side of things, because my next questions were going to be Liv and Dom, what you thought about it, and Roman Reigns returning and all that. Without me even asking, you went through all of it. So massive tuffy. Making it easy. I want to shift a little bit now to the content creation part of you as ChrissyTina as a TikTok content creator, because I know a lot of your stuff revolves around TikTok and even Instagram. But I want to start off with asking you, and you sort of spoke about it in your introduction, about the Familia. So let chat know what the Familia is, what that group means to you. Also, the flag looks fire, by the way. Shout out to Joe Hendry for signing it. But yeah, tell us about the Familia.
Oh man, if I start, I will never stop. The Familia is something that came out of duress, if I'm going to be completely candid about it. I was part of another podcast beforehand, which unfortunately dwindled and didn't survive, you know, as most things do on social media. And I wasn't sure if I was going to continue content creation in general. I was very sad about how things ended. And this was around WrestleMania time. So there's no better time to be sad about wrestling content than at WrestleMania time. So my very dear friend, Brian, BC on TikTok and social media handles, basically stepped in as my Jiminy Cricket, as my big brother, and told me to snap the hell out of it and get my life together. And we were talking about just the friends that we've made along the way. I know it's very stereotypical and cheesy to say, but we've made amazing friends such as yourself along the way. And, you know, just giving it another shot with certain people. And I wasn't sure about getting close to anyone after what happened prior. But I'm just going to run down the list right now. It's BC Bryan. It's Richie Mars. Pro Wrestling Wizard Just Doug. It is Hot Take Joe. It is Pat the Wise Man. It is Michaela, the Ring Queen. It is 216 Bonnet Bitch Ebby. That is my original crew. It's the original 8, which is now very fitting that I realize that my episode number is 8. I love a good tie-in. But these people held me down, and they helped me realize that, you know, like, we can still do this content creation thing in a safer space. And they are my safe space. They are my comfortability level. They are everything to me. And that's when the tagline came up of, like, you may not always be able to trust your friends, but you can always trust your family. Because sometimes it's not the family you were born into, it's the family you pick. And when I say I would do anything for that group of people, I would, more than anything in this world. And ever since then, we've grown. I've managed to get the lovely Bianca, my best friend, my civilian friend, to join us. She's kind of our mascot for, like, the normals who don't know what wrestling is yet. Nothing gets people more interested in wrestling than a really, really pretty girl saying that she watches wrestling. We all know how well that ends up. And then Miss Ebby was able to get the amazing Shayna Hill, the anti-wrestling fan, to be able to associate herself with us And I love Shayna. I think she has such an amazing mind for the business. I incredibly respect her. And I'm glad to say that we've become friends over time. And there's always room in the familia. That's something that I always want to make very, very prevalent. It's that sometimes wrestling doesn't always love particular subsections of people. It doesn't always love POCs. It doesn't always love LGBTQ plus. It doesn't always love women. But with the familia, it's a safe space to talk about the thing that you love the most. And do you always agree with each other? No, you can have debates. But at the end of the day, it is a scripted sport. And we are all actual people that love and respect each other. So we can get into it as much as we want to, but it's never going to end up in a yelling match. And I think that's the draw for the familia. You can speak your mind freely and still not get harassed at the end of the day. And sometimes that's just nice. Sometimes it's nice to have a conversation and not have it yell and like it end in like a yelling match. They all have, it's kind of like the Avengers. It's kind of like the Captain Planet kids. Like they all have their own superpowers. Richie and Pat and Doug and Hot Take are probably some of the best studied interviewers I've ever met in my life. Michaela has such an emotionally connected heart when it comes to the sport. Ebby is just so incredibly smart and quick-witted. Brian has such a mind for the business aspect of the sport. I had a long conversation with Brian about just the importance of t-shirt design and what the merchandise can mean for the company and for how important it is to the superstars themselves. Like everyone that is associated with Familia has their own particular set of skills that at the end of the day creates the Voltron, the Megazord that is Familia, and I couldn't do it without any of them.
And there's an analogy I like to say all the time, especially when I used to do my mental health streams on Twitch. Family isn't defined by who you are related to by blood. Family is basically people who you surround yourself with that genuinely want to see you succeed. They are not in it for any kind of financial, emotional, or just any kind of gain for themselves, being selfish. They are people who want to genuinely see you succeed. And when you have that group of people, anything is possible. The sky's the limit on whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I'm happy you got that group of the Familia. I always feel welcome every time I go in there, whenever you guys are live, hanging out and chatting and all that stuff. So y'all got a really good thing going. Shout out to Richie Mars, who was on the podcast a few episodes ago. I forgot which number exactly at the top of my head, but really great to talk to him. And I'm very familiar with everybody you just spoke about. They're really cool people, whether I've talked to them just a little bit on like a live I've done or just a comment. They're all great. Like I said before, TikTok is one of the main platforms I see you post content on. What is something you tell someone that's trying to get into the wrestling content creation space?
Get out of your own head. And this is something that I have to remind myself of on a daily basis. Once again, this is not something that I've just magically learned on my own. It is lessons that I've learned from the Familia members, where it's even if you don't feel like the video is that good, post it anyway. Post it anyway. You have to drown the algorithm. The algorithm needs to know your face so much to the point where it gets annoyed by your face. That is also Matt Cardona's way of handling his social media as well. I just found out recently. So if Matt Cardona thinks it's good, then we're on the right track. Just there's a key for every hole. We are all talking about the same multiple hours of wrestling a week. We're all talking about the same Raw. We're all talking about the same SmackDown. There's no differences in the content that we're referring to, but someone might enjoy your content, JLD, more than they'll enjoy mine. Someone might enjoy my content more than they might enjoy someone else's. So just because you feel like you're talking about the same thing into this void that is the internet, someone is going to resonate with how you speak, with how you move, with your mannerisms, with your sense of humor. And then that's when you build your community. So it might take a little while to find them. God only knows it took me a little while to find mine. But now that I'm here in this space with my tribe, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So sometimes it takes a little while, but just stay diligent and just don't give up.
It's funny that you say you have to be annoying, because that's exactly how I explain it to everybody that ever asks me, whether it's on live or if I'm just talking on a live stream about it. It's the same thing. And people message me all the time, or if I go to somebody's live stream, they're like, JLD, I see your videos everywhere. Like, I see you nonstop. And in my head, I'm like, good. Because
yep.
that's how you know that everybody's seeing my stuff. They may not, like, even people you follow that you may not interact with all the time, or like you see them from a distance, you'll be surprised how much they actually watch your stuff, whether they're watching it voluntarily or if it just comes up on their For You page. The more you're posting, the more your TikTok algorithm will find you. And if people are annoyed by that, oh well, they'll find somebody else. But that's how you get people to find out who you are, and eventually that's how you grow your community.
Yeah,
Always
Richie
post.
Mars literally posts 3 to 5 videos a day. The thought of even sitting down to record 3 to 5 videos gives me a headache. But Richie Mars is a different breed. Richie Mars is an animal, and he's so incredibly good, and I just want a little bit of that talent to rub off of me. That's the only reason why he's in the Familia. I don't like him or anything. I just want to like absorb his powers.
A lot of, like, even myself, like I have a whiteboard here and I write down every idea I have. When I'm not at my desk, I have it on my phone. Even one video can take a while to do. So for people to be able to do like 3 to 5, I commend them, because that is a lot of work, especially when I got work to do. I work from home, and like I'm trying to juggle that. I'm going live. It's like, and then you got to deal with personal life, or when's like going to the gym or making dinner. Like there's so much going on through people's heads. The fact that people can do that all and then still post 3 to 5 times a day, they got whatever routine they got. I want it, because right now that's a lot. So you guys usually go live on TikTok, I would say every other day, maybe. So let me ask you, what's your schedule usually for TikTok? Because usually on at like nights, I see.
Yeah, the Familia schedule is busy. Monday nights, it's Pat the Wise Man and 216 Bonnet Bitch Ebby for Monday Night Raw. Tuesdays, it is Richie Mars for the Untitled Richie Mars Show, where he watches NXT. Wednesdays, it is Brian, where he watches Dynamite. Thursdays, it is Doug, and he watches TNA. Fridays, it is Richie Mars and Doug, and they watch SmackDown for the SmackDown Live. Saturdays, it is me and Patrick for NXT Rewind, and then Sundays, everyone is asleep and dead. And then Wednesdays, Hot Take has his live, where he does his podcast, and he also does a live on Tuesdays with Heels for Life. So everyone is busy all the time. As we said earlier, drown the algorithm.
Now, is that like a set schedule you all collectively agreed on, or do you just like, you say, hey, I'll do this, and that's really just how it formed?
We all collectively agreed on it, because when the Familia formed, we wanted this to be something that was bigger than ourselves. The goal is to eventually have one of us at like a WWE or an AEW media scrum, or have someone do content for like the social media stuff for the major companies. We have goals for ourselves, and we try and keep each other accountable. And we realize that if we're going to do that, we have to have something that's consistent. So we went based off of, like, for example, Richie wanted Tuesdays, because Tuesdays is when his podcast drops, so he could promote that. Patrick, it's easier for him to do Mondays because of him and his babies. Ebby's able to join him there. Saturdays, NXT Rewind was already my thing before Familia formed. Patrick, I proposed to him on live to be my co-host, and he said yes. So that happened there. And we just try and make sure that the schedule works as best as it can for everybody, to make sure that everyone has time for themselves. Because at the end of the day, it is just wrestling. We don't want anyone burning out, but we want to make sure that everyone can get their, promotionals in for themselves as well.
And I think that's how I originally might have met you, was through the NXT Rewind.
It was an NXT Rewind.
Because I remember going in there for the first time, and then I remember, I think after that you asked if I wanted to be on one of them, which I would love to be. Just weekends tend to be busy for me. I tend to try and not post content on the weekends, unless it's a PLE. That's the only exception.
It must be really nice to have a social life. Let me tell you, I wouldn't know about that, but I'm so happy for you to have a social life.
I mean, if you consider social life here making the content and stuff, or just honestly, it's not even just social life being outside. I just sometimes like being like, that nice relaxation.
Like, sometimes I just want to watch Bridgerton and not have to watch wrestling.
That's
at a certain point, this becomes like a job.
It is. You have to treat it like one.
It's very, very difficult to not lose the love for professional wrestling when it's treated like a job. So that's why sometimes it is nice to run with others, to have a community around you. Like, for example, for yourself, I know that your fan base adores you. I'm one of them. This is a huge fangirl moment for me. I'm gonna freak out about this when the pod's over. But you have these people around you that support you and love your content, but also would understand if he needs a nap, he needs a nap. And that's always nice too.
And my community was very understanding. I don't think you follow me on Twitch, but back in June, I actually took a break from Twitch. I haven't streamed on Twitch since the end of June. Everybody's been begging me to come back because they just missed my stream. I was doing WWE 2K, I was doing Fortnite and all that, and I still hang out in everybody's streams and all that, and they're just like, JLD, when are you coming back from retirement? And They're like trying to force me to come back. And I'm like, damn, I really made an impact on them. Even if they're not even wrestling fans, that's the thing. Nice to see that the community is very understanding of that. I still enjoy my TikToks in the morning though, because it's not
That's like the
as
beautiful thing about it
consuming.
too. It's like just when you think that like no one misses you, they do.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when you do come back, they're like, oh my God, JLD, or welcome back, or whatever they got to say. Or they'll just troll my chat and spam sound alerts nonstop like they usually do. But your live streams are awesome. I enjoy them. Keep sending them to me because I know you send them to me as well as Richie and everybody else. So never hesitate to send them. I come in when I can. I do my spam of likes. I say what up. And as long as I'm free, I stay in. I always feel
And
good
it's always
in there.
appreciated. It's always appreciated, honestly.
Absolutely, especially the NXT rewind, because I never really watched NXT like that before, like the new Shawn Michaels era of superstars. Like obviously I know a lot of superstars came from NXT. You mentioned them all, the Dusty group, the Paul group, but it's nice to see those things. And it's so wild how so many NXT takeovers were in Barclays Center.
I miss it so much. I miss it so much.
Now there's no more freaking takeovers, no more, because they actually do like PLEs, like actual PLEs on Peacock in the smaller
but
arenas.
Even now, I think like SummerSlam was a Barclays exclusive for like 2-3 years running, and then they just stopped doing SummerSlam at Barclays. And I'm like, y'all pay them.
They got too big. They got too big.
Barclays.
But things happen for a reason. There's a reason SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights starting 2026, I believe. Yeah, there's probably some room for NXT to grow in that thing too. I could see NXT eventually outgrowing the Performance Center, and people could be begging to go to NXT. I don't know if you know Mr. Know Your Wrestling from TikTok. He went twice in a row to the Orlando show like a while ago, and like he told me how you could get to like a NXT show. It's like it's free. You got to take a bus. You got to get admitted. It's like a Facebook group or something you got to join. And then if you get approved, you go in.
Florida is a fake place, but I'd be willing to stay in Florida if it meant that I get to go to the Performance Center.
And SmackDown tomorrow is in Orlando too. Everybody was like, oh, I'm going. I can't wait. Like, because they're right by the Performance Center. So maybe some NXT people might show up. Maybe Joe Hendry. Take out the bloodline.
I will immediately lose my mind.
I would freak the hell out if that happened. Yeah, keep doing your thing with TikTok. You're doing great. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier on his live stream, but I'll say the same to you and to all of the familia too. Keep doing what you're doing. When you hit your 10K, go to the creator program and make your money from TikTok. TikTok is a very rich company, but pays their creators very cheaply, or relies on the creators' fans to pay them. Run them for the pockets. Join that creator program and make sure you're making the best content possible, like you already are. That's my task for you and for everybody in the family. So again, thank you for being on the podcast. I only have like a few more questions and then we can wrap it up from there. This question, I don't know if you've seen any of the other episodes, the ending of them. It's always the last question. Well, not the last question, but like one of the final questions I ask, because it's something we probably dealt with our whole lives as wrestling fans, especially as kids. What do you have to say to people who like to say wrestling is fake?
Wrestling is as fake as those dragons that you love so much in Game of Thrones. Wrestling is as fake as that Hulk scene you love so much in The Avengers. Wrestling is as fake as you make it, along with the rest of the media that you consume. Wrestling has more in common with a telenovela than it does with an actual sport. Wrestling is a movie with athletics thrown in. And that's what people have to remember. It is a form of entertainment. And these people are willing to have people kind of insult them to their face, saying that their jobs aren't real, for them to risk their lives on a daily basis whenever they step in that ring. One incorrect move, and it could be detrimental to these people's lives. And they are still willing to do this on a weekly basis for us. I believe as of right now, the slotted calendar for a superstar is 350 days out of the year on the road, whether it be house shows or major events or anything else like that. They're not home often. So for them knowing that the stigma behind their beloved career in sport is that it's not real and that it doesn't count, and for them to still show up anyway and give it their all and give what they love to the fans that they love, maybe look at it from a more human standpoint than just, like the internet getting to your brain. I would like to think that our generation is evolved enough to be able to think past that. Sometimes I give us too much credit, just think of it as something that you love and just let it be that. There's more serious things going on in the world right now other than professional wrestling. Just let it be what it is and just enjoy it.
So when it comes to wrestling being fake, I 100% agree with you on all of that. If us fans get offended over that, just imagine the wrestlers themselves, how they feel. You saw Austin Theory in Australia. He was ready to fight the dude in the commentary.
I wish he would have. I wish he would have.
He would have messed him
I would
up.
have paid. If I was in the office, I would have paid his bail. Straight up.
Or Randy Orton, like getting that kind of treatment in international shows, I think in like Brazil or India, and he's gone up to people's faces about it. And it's like the fact that people have the nerve to disrespect these superstars who put their life on the line 350 days a year out of only 15 days at home, or like not on the road to see their family. Some people bring their families, some people don't, or they get the hometown treatment. That's little exceptions, but not respect the sport, even if it's not actually them wrestling and beating them down to a pulp to 1, 2, 3. It takes drive. And even the people, like I say this, WrestleMania had a lot of celebrities. I don't know if you noticed behind Michael Cole and Corey Graves and all that. The people that are advocating that wrestling is this fake sport and that it's not legitimate are the same people worshiping the people that were at the WrestleMania show. If you saw, it was T-Pain, Vanessa Hudgens, Lily Singh, Drewski, Lil Baby and his kid were there.
I think 2 Chainz was at WrestleMania.
2 Chainz was there too.
Winnie Harlow? No, not Winnie Harlow. Her name is Winnie. She's the really, really pretty model that has like vitiligo. And she's like world renowned and world known. And she's there on WrestleMania Night 2 with 2 Chainz in the front row. Wrestling is your favorite's favorite. Like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Your favorite person in the world loves wrestling.
Exactly.
What else do you need?
They just want to be in their bubble. And even Jelly Roll now. I could see Jelly Roll getting involved in more stuff now. WWE. This man did a steel chair to Austin Theory. People love Jelly Roll. Now, what are they going to say? Oh, Jelly Roll was brainwashed or something?
Hugh Jackman hit Dolph Ziggler.
Freaking Jon Stewart betrayed John Cena.
Oh my God.
Like, you can't make this up. Mike Tyson in the 90s was there. Like, how do you see all these signs and you're still like, oh, like, why are people watching this? They think they're superior, but
I mean, baby, not everyone has taste. You know, what are you going to do?
And like, there's nothing wrong with not liking wrestling, but when you try to unlegitimize it by saying that it's because it's scripted or like it's not actual boxing or actual MMA, that's where it's like, bro, you're just being a dick.
I mean, they can test it out because let me tell you, we were talking about this before in the Familia chat that like certain wrestlers just look like they know how to fight in real life. They can test that theory with the Claudio Castagnoli or like a Kevin Owens in real life, and I'm gonna just sit back and watch what happens.
Shayna Baszler.
Because there ain't no way I'm gonna tell Kevin Owens to his face that what he does isn't real.
Shayna Baszler, Lola Vice, MMA fighters.
Another one. I don't want to smoke.
They will legit kick your ass. I don't care if you're a guy or girl. You are getting your arm broken if you try to.
Shayna Baszler could tell me that her name is Dasani, and I would be like, "Yup," and I'm not asking questions.
You're right. Again, if you're watching this and you still have some, I mean, I guess you're not watching, not into wrestling like that, but if you are, tell somebody that may believe that. Like, just give them this clip. Are you planning on going to any shows for the rest of the year? Like any shows planned? AEW, Indies, WWE?
So my birthday is August 28th, Virgo gang, always. Nice. And then August 29th, there is an MLW show called Summer of the Beast. And recently, Pat the Wise Man, Pro Wrestling Wizard Just Doug, and I had the pleasure and privilege of interviewing Alex Kane, former MLW champion, on our live. And by some grace of God, Alex Kane actually wants to be my friend. So we're talking about doing a slight meetup before the show.
Ooh, that's cool.
Trying to figure that out. So that's going to be amazing. We're planning on trying to go to Full Gear in November. Full Gear is going to be at the Prudential Center in New Jersey.
Oh, we're...
And it's not this year, but next year, I am engaged. Hashtag Team Fiance is a very beloved member of the TikTok Lives. And the goal is to go to Vegas and get married in Vegas and then do Mania weekend the same weekend.
That's so cool.
Fingers crossed. Because I thought it was going to be difficult getting tickets before. And then John Felix Anthony Cena Jr. had to announce his retirement and say that his final WrestleMania is going to be the Vegas Mania. So now I know it's going to be a Hunger Games arena for the tickets. So I already have 18 desktops lined up. I have 5 burner accounts on my phones. And I'm just going to keep refreshing the page until something happens. So anyone out here listening to this podcast, keep your fingers crossed for your girl. And also, I'm trying to see if WWE would sponsor my wedding.
That would be so fire.
I'll put a Prime logo in my bouquet if they'll pay for everything.
Get Cody Rhodes to show up, like he's gonna be the other one.
Listen. I'll have whatever like his tequila brand's name or vodka brand's name in my veil. I'll make it happen. Your girl's a shill. Like pay for the trip, and you can sponsor whatever you need to sponsor.
Yeah, so I'll be at Mania. I booked my hotel and flight already. I made sure to do that way in advance, so that way I didn't have to pay the outrageous prices that are probably going to show up as soon as Mania
December. It's going to show up in December.
So I could see that already being a thing. So that's already handled and paid for. So I don't got to worry about that. And thankfully, if I have any issues, I can get a refund on the hotel. It's up to like a week before. So April 2025. When do the tickets
go on sale? Like November, right?
I have no idea. They have not. I thought SummerSlam they were going to announce the date or like at least when, but they didn't say nothing.
It was like the day before, like, hey, surprise.
Yeah, they're going to text me like, hey, they're on sale right now. Use pre-sale code WWE pre-sale.
Listen, hashtag team fiancés in IT. I might just have him cut the power grid.
Right.
And just no one has internet access but us to get those tickets.
You know what's funny too? Because I've been to Vegas one time. My fiance and I ended up going for TwitchCon, which was in Vegas last year. And she had the idea actually of getting married there. But I was like, I'd rather have my family watch it too, rather than just go just the two of us.
So nice to like your family. Tell me what that's like.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, I will definitely agree. You could do the Vegas one. It was my idea. I was like, I don't want to do it, but she was so down to do it.
Listen, we're going to be there anyway. And then our dear cousin, friend of the Familia, XLJ, the OG, said that he is an ordained minister and that he'd be happy to marry us. And I asked him, yeah, we could just do it for the content and we can do something like Triple H and Stephanie getting married at the drive-in chapel.
Yeah.
And just have him be there. Because at the end of the day, JLD, you being one of them included very much, the people who have come into my life from the IWC are now legitimately my family, more so than the people who I'm blood related to. Yeah. And just knowing that even in the silly moments, like talking about my future wedding or, anything else like that, that they would be so willing to be there for me and show up no matter what. That just goes to show like the hope that the IWC has, where even though there are more bad apples than there should be, there are the amazing ones such as yourself that are worth coming back for. And I'm so grateful.
I get it all the time from people. Whenever my videos go viral, there's always the people that enjoy them, but there's always that little subsection that likes to think that they're better than me. Meanwhile, they got like 5 followers. You're not in any position to tell me how to make my videos or what's good or what's not. Whether it's me praising my tribal chief, or if it's one of the big ones I like to think of for this situation is the AJ Lee one. I don't know if you remember, I made a video back in January of AJ Lee returning to the Rumble, and I did her skit with my hands behind my back. Everybody, you could just imagine what they were saying, like, "Oh, why are you doing the AJ Lee thing?" But it went viral.
God forbid I'm happy.
They're still crying in their basement while I'm still doing my thing.
Legitimately, and it's always my favorite ones where it's no followers, like one reposted video, and then like their profile picture is like Sasuke from Naruto.
Yeah, it's the anime characters, or their name is Main Event Jey Uso.
Oh, you too then. Okay, not just me.
it's everybody somehow is named Main Event Jey Uso. But Chrissy, again, thank you for hopping on. We're basically getting to the conclusion of episode 8 of the Laying It Down podcast. Once again, if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys follow ChrissyTina on TikTok, Instagram, and everywhere else that she is at, down in the description below. And to end the podcast for the night, is there anything you'd like to give our audience in terms of any final words, any self-plugs, promos, or just anything you'd like to share before we call it a night?
First thing I want to say is, JLD, thank you so much for being such a gracious host. I am always such a big fan of your content. I respect you very highly and I love you even more. This is definitely a very, very big like bucket list, like social media content thing for me. So thank you so much for having me on your episode 8. Absolutely. And to close it all out, hi babies. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. My name is ChrissyTina, ChrissyTina across all social media platforms. Please make sure that you're checking me out on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, pretty soon coming to YouTube. Make sure that you're checking out the Familia once again on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Also, pretty soon coming to YouTube, we have NXT Rewinds on Saturdays with me and Pat the Wise Man. We have mine and Pro Wrestling Wizards Just Doug projects coming out fairly soon, Wizards, Witches, and Elbow Drops, where we talk about the indie scene and the importance of the indie scene for professional wrestling as a whole. And we kind of do deep dives into your favorite wrestlers' indie career and how they ended up where they are now. Go to runtheropes.shop, buy my merch. It's probably the only chance you're ever going to get to actually have me on your body. So, shoot the shot and buy the shirt. Be kind to each other, love yourselves, and when you can't trust your friends, you can always trust your family.
That's a freaking W. Chrissy, thank you for hopping on with us today. It's been an absolute freaking pleasure. Once again, shout out to 210 Threads for sponsoring today's video. Go get their t-shirts over at 210threads.com. For any occasion, any kind of topic, he definitely got the shirts. And for everybody that's watching right now, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, that we get some of the best wrestling content out there and more episodes of this, which will be coming very, very soon. Peace out, everybody. I will see you guys soon.